I'm alive. Hi, everybody. It is right about 9 o'clock to 9:01 on the nose. And hello, everybody. And so I've got the unenviable task of Cliff Goldberg just contacting me. I'm writing streaming now of explaining what happened at today's Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting. I say unenviable because it was a long meeting, and yet at the same time, it was a long, complicated meeting that, when you start breaking down things, had only two issues to it. But before I get to them, let me say hello to everybody. And yes, I am back with the V-necks. How you doing, Rick Rice? And who else is? And I'm gonna restart this computer because my computer is slow, which should not affect my live stream, I don't believe. But I'm just gonna do this without concern for reading anything right now, and just say hello. Hey, Steve. Steve, you have not been here in quite a while. How are you, sir? Nice to see you. And Joseph True, how are you? And you need a Zinni burger, and I need a Zinni burger. Bad. This has been a long day because I not only did the streaming on the Stadium 430 earlier, I had a meeting today. I had a big meeting today. And then I came in and I'm getting rid of a lot of stuff here. And because there's some pickup people are going to come tomorrow and pick them up and get them out. So I went through and moved furniture here and picked up this box and moved that over there and packed up that box and packed this up and did all that. And, phew! Oh boy, it's actually great to sit down on a Thursday night and watch a scintillating Thursday night football game, among other things, with the Houston Texans winning 13-9 over your Cincinnati Bengals. Well, I can't say your. Whoever started that? Your Dallas Cowboys, your New York Yankees. Well, I guess your Oakland Raiders. I guess they are yours if you're a fan. And if you live in Oakland, they really do belong to you. Even if they don't act like they belong to you. But you believe that, so you say yours, okay? Now, I know a lot of you thought I was going to be at Forever Oakland tonight, but I couldn't make it. And I'm going to see them tomorrow. So I had a lot to do here, and I had intended to do a recap, and Steve Macy asked what I think of the meeting today. And for those of you who can't see this and you're watching this as a video on demand product, if I break and I say Steve Macy, for example, that's a person who has written a comment in my chat that I'm responding to. Right now, the technology is such that you can't see that note coming up on the video on demand. Too bad they don't have it built in so that you can. It would be neat. But that's what I'm doing for you viewers who are video on demand or who may not be able to see the chat stream at all. Now, but I digress. Back to answering Mr. Macy's question. Also, oh, excuse me. It is it's also a hazy day. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's hay fever or what, but excuse me one moment, folks. I gotta sneeze. Sorry, folks, but sometimes that kind of nature calls. That nature in that case was sneezing, so I just wanted to make sure that I got the sneeze out of the way and everything, but I don't like to sneeze on camera. So, and now that I'm able to, yeah, okay, now. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, folks, but it's change of seasons period, and on top of that, moving things around here kicked up, dust and all that stuff that I didn't know was around. Which means I have to dust some more, but I digress. Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? How are you? How are you? How are you? Hey, Citron, welcome. Now, as far as the meeting was concerned, how was it? It was the greatest statement yet that the Oakland Raiders have a long way to go before they can really believe that a stadium is going to happen. Having said that, they did take a big step today, and as Mark Bedane announced in his brief presentation, or his brief set of statements to the Las Vegas Stadium Authority Board, the Raiders did close on their financing, for all practical purposes, close on their financing with Bank of America. What that means, details aside, is they will get their $650 million, okay? $850 million loan when the guaranteed maximum price is in place, okay? Once all that is in place and the development agreement is done, boom, they'll get their loan. The stadium land will be turned over from the Raiders to the Stadium Authority, and they will ostensibly begin to start actually building this thing. Now, everyone says, oh, that's going to happen by the end of February. You know what? The simple fact that all these deadlines are being pushed back is a sure sign that with the holidays coming up, you got Thanksgiving and Christmas and you got Passover and Kwanzaa and all the other holidays that comprise this great season of the year. On top of the complications with the project, known for now and to come, I'd be willing to bet this goes March till April. And I know some of you are talking about this April 17th deadline. Well, I've researched that already. It really is May 16th deadline. And that's the way that is. Now, that deadline is such that if it's not made by the Raiders in terms of their development agreement and their completion of all the actions that need to be taken for them to build the stadium, then the project option goes to UNLV. They can actually go to the Las Vegas Stadium Authority or the governor and say, and this is according to the Southern Nevada Tourism and Infrastructure Act, or the governor and say, hey, you know what? We want to take this over now. Now, let me say something. There's been talk that this entire $750 million subsidy reverts to UNLV. No, it's actually reduced. It doesn't revert. It's reduced. I believe to about $500 million, but it's reduced. And it's reduced by reducing the stadium tax, hotel tax, okay? So that's what happens. But the bottom line is the subsidy does still apply. It just does so to a smaller degree. Now, and so they can basically start the entire stadium process all over again, or pick up. I don't know if they have to pick up where they left off. I would think that they would. I'll research that. I think I've got now a good enough relationship with Applied Analysis. That's the Las Vegas firm of which Jeremy Aguilo works for, such that I can call him and get some clarifications. I've done that before, okay? I have done that before. And, hey, first of all, I have to say one thing. Congratulations and hats off, well, two things, to Deshaun Watson on his first win as an NFL starting player so early in his career, against the Cincinnati Bengals. And congratulations to Houston Texans' J.J. Watt for raising $33 million for Hurricane Harvey relief efforts going on in Houston and surrounding cities and towns in South Texas. What an amazing feat. Absolutely amazing. Now, back to the conversation. We've got, I'm actually now going to the watch page to now tweet out this discussion, and then also I'm going to focus on your questions, exclusively focus on your questions. Believe it or not, exclusively focus on your questions about the meeting. And it started off with the discussion of something that I've interviewed, as you know, Stanley Washington here about, and I've given explanations of his recap. And so I'll read to you what that document actually looks like and discuss that before I take your comments, because a number of you have them. And so I'm going to go back and right now read them. I've already said my hellos, but a lot of you have come in. So as far as any, and I'm going to actually now also put on the mic, which I managed to bring with me. Ta-da! This is the microphone. And put this on right here, like so. There it is. Yes, it's a clip-on mic, not a clip-on tie. It's a clip-on mic. There. Okay. Should I have done this earlier? Yes, but I didn't. And I'm going to plug this in over here. Moment. And thank you for tweeting right now. Folks, let me know how the sound is with that. Okay. Excuse me. I'm trying to make sure that this is stabilized in such a way that you don't tumble. We don't tumble. How's that? Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Sounds good? Good sound? Good. Sounds a lot better. Awesome. Awesome. That's why I got the mic, to eliminate, those issues we were talking about. Yeah. And this time I had the presence of mind to get it out of its little cubby hole and use it. It's one thing to have a tool. It's another thing to use a tool, right? Duh. Wow. How stupid sometimes. All right. Now, okay. We've got, I lost my marbles. And what's good, everyone? Hey, Juan Ramirez. Hey, Jacob P. Hey, The Barber. Hey, Rick Rice. Juan Ramirez, how are you? Juan Ramirez asked this question. What was the deal with a company wanting to replace the Raiders, to reach the Raiders for road and parking infrastructure loan about? That was on public comment, Mr. Ramirez, and I know as much as you do, because unless they've submitted a letter that I didn't see, and it's quite possible that they did, and I don't know. And then even then, I'm guessing the letter has some substance to it, as opposed to saying we want to invest. I know that it's a little unusual, I think, for an organization that has enough money to make an investment to come forward like that. It's like getting free advertisement. Something else too. They didn't say they wanted, as I understood it, what they were offering means the Raiders have to pay them back. And that means that they're going to place terms on the Raiders that may not be favorable. So just because they step forward and say, hey, we've got money to loan you, doesn't mean that it's a great deal. The Raiders already have one organization they're going to owe money to if it gets that far, and that's Bank of America. So, why is it that I wouldn't look at this other situation as some super awesome deal for the Raiders to get involved with? Everyone's going to have their hand out with this thing. That's just a fact, all right? Or as Bill Murray would say, that's the fact, Jack. Okay. That's what Bill Murray would say. That's the fact, Jack. Now, I'm also, let's see here, we've got, some interesting, one moment, folks. I've got an issue here I need to fix. but I maybe should fix it later. It's quite odd. Let's see here. It has to do with my blog. And oh, that's interesting. Hold on a second, folks. I have to fix something with my blog. Just bear with me one moment, because something is going on that shouldn't be going on with it. And it only take me a few seconds to fix it, assuming, of course, I'm correct at where I think it is. All right. One moment, please. So, 'cause how that got there, I don't know, but it did get there. Okay, we've got theme header. Wait a second. I may just have to deal with this later, because I don't know how that happened. Theme footer, theme functions, index. Hold on a second. One moment. I apologize, folks, but this is right. It was in my face, and I want to take care of it right now. And I'm miffed that this is there. So bear with me, please. Oh, I think I know what it has to do with. All right, let me try it this way. And let's see here. Let me, update now. Well, that's being updated as I speak. Okay. It's a little plugin bug that I have to remove and delete, which I just did, okay? So that's out of there. What a plugin bug is, plugins are pre-designed sets of code that are automatically installed at the push of a button. They come in WordPress. They do everything from set your search engine optimization to providing special areas where you can send tweets on, and so on. So that's what we're dealing with, fixing there, okay? And updating another plugin, and that failed. Wow. Okay. Print version. That's wild. Okay, I'm gonna have to deal with that later. I'm gonna deal with that later. I don't know why that's there, but I'll deal with it later. And I'll come back to that later. It's just one of those annoying things. And yeah, always something. There's always something. All right, now let me go to the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting. Las Vegas Stadium Authority. Right there. View a live stream. And let's see, meeting info, meeting details. Okay, we have public comment submissions, and what I'm doing right now is I'm getting back to your question, Ron Ramirez, about the person who submitted, who talked about their company, and I don't see that. I only see that traffic study, so I don't see that. We have a number of background materials today on it. We have this public comment submissions, the small local business definition, room tax summary report, which was interesting because he only read, it only goes up to July for room tax. They used to go up to August, and this is September. So they've got, they only have it for July. And so we don't know what it looks like for August in terms of room tax collection, right? And we don't know what it looks like for September. Look at this. I want you to look at this. Check this out. Okay? This is September, right? Okay? But then look. July. That's it. They don't have any information for what has been collected for August or for September, and it should be ready by now. Okay? So that's really odd. So I have to check with Clark County to find out what's happening. The resolution to extend time to 18 months regards the development agreement, and that was extended. The Stadium Authority memorandum on project document timing was read out, and that has to do with the MOU. And to make it really, really simple, it just says that, okay, the Raiders are cleared to start work on the stadium starting in October through February, but at their own risk. They spend their own money. They have to have their own insurance. If some unusual development happens on the property, maybe they have a forklift truck, or maybe they have an earth mover, and the earth mover happens to hit an old World War II landmine, let's hope not, and the landmine goes off, it's the Raiders' responsibility to take care of. They're not going to get any insurance, nothing. In fact, that would be news, because it would go a long way to explaining why that property hadn't been developed until now, right? Because that's always been a question. How come that sat there for so long? Now, I don't know if you all noticed this, or if you hung around toward the end of the meeting. I did, and I tried to keep the live stream going, even though I had some technical difficulties on the desktop end. But I don't know if you noticed this, but the one interesting development was that a gentleman, tall white guy, came up and he started talking about, I believe he was a construction worker or something, or a wannabe construction worker, and started talking about all the, quote, complications with the land, unquote. And I thought, whoa, what? What complications with the land? That reveals something known that the public has not been told about. All right? So there's preliminary design issues for consideration, the owner's representation agreement, enabling work agreement, the community benefits plan, conceptual outline. Let's take a look at that. And something else now, folks. We have 32 documents that have to be finished and signed. Many of them are, but all of them are not signed. Now, yeah, some are sub-documents, but the bottom line is, Steve Hill said himself, the chairman, you know what? When we first started, there were just 14 of these documents, and now it seems like there's more of them. We're up to 32. And climbing. Stay tuned for this, okay? Stay tuned. Anyway, they have the stadium community benefits plan is a conceptual outline, not a contract. And it reads it concerns this requirement, says the purpose is that the developer partner in a stadium events company shall develop a community benefits plan to make sure that all segments of the local community enjoy the economic opportunities available in the design, construction, and operation of the National Football League Stadium, developed by the developer partner and operated by the Stadium Events Company, okay? And an oversight, you're supposed to have a Stadium Community Oversight Committee to carry that out, and the Stadium Oversight Committee is hereby authorized to enforce the provision community benefits plan, which it was created to carry out, okay? The Oversight Committee, this one calls for 7 members. They have a local business targeting the requirement. I have to say one thing, that this is, at this stage, this outline is better than what Oakland came up with after some political issues brought forward by the late Joe Debro back in 1984-85, prepping for the Raiders, 1994 95, prepping for the return of the Raiders, okay, in 95. This is more comprehensive and more structured. The City of Oakland, County of Alameda approach at that time was more strictly political. I know you're minority. I know you're minority. I know you're black. I know you're a woman. I know you're Latino, and so on, right? And this ultimately will lead to a more structured, you're talented, you have the capacity, you're woman, black, Latino, Asian minority, so on, and you get the work, which I think is a big step in terms of how we think about executing these types of agreements. So bravo for them for putting this together. And whether or not I need to reach out to Stanley Washington again and see what he thinks about it, but this looks like a promising first step to me. It really does. Now, we've got Juan Ramirez asks, how is UNLV chances on increasing their chances to be in control of the deal? Oh, well, let me put it this way. Every minute there's a delay, the closer we meet to deadline. The deadline is not going to move. And that's May 16th. All right? I don't care if they say April. I'm saying May 16th. The bottom line is that deadline is fixed. Every delay we have that's going into next year bumps us closer to that deadline. So that gives you a picture. The simple fact that there had to be a 6-month time extension gives you a window to the problems. The simple fact that this gentleman came up before the adjournment of the meeting and referred to problems on the land, and I don't know what he meant, indicates there are even more problems than we're led on to believe. So this isn't, again, I said this once, I'll say it again. Savior, I believe they're going to get it done for believing in God. Learn to look at the techniques of the situation dispassionately and make a cold call. Or if you don't know what to look for, just say, hey, you know what? I don't know what to look for. And yeah, we can move forward from there. Juan Ramirez said, do we take a step back this week? I don't understand how we did, Juan, at all. I don't get where a step back was taken. Steve Macy says, any news on the pipeline going under the stadium site? Only that there's no news except that it has to be done. We don't know when the timeline is going to begin because the Corps of Engineers timetable is... The only thing we know about the Corps of Engineers is that they're probably not going to get to that thing this year. And the question is when will they be able to get to it? And there's a simple reason why. I was told the Raiders have explained to my sources that, you know what, we may not be able to move into that stadium until 2022. There's a concrete reason for that. And when you see publications like the Las Vegas Sun echoing what I reported the week before, it was right there on the front page of the website, you know there's a problem because they're reluctant to regurgitate news that I came out with first. I'm the one who first told you it was a 2019 deadline, 2019 lease extension that the Raiders were pursuing. Now, some bozo tried to put it out there that the JPA said they weren't going to consider that, and I told Michael Lowry, who contacted me about it, I said, look, think. The Coliseum JPA hasn't met on the issue. If they haven't met on the issue, they're not going to reject it. Okay? So, there's no reason for anybody to come out with that kind of, garbage news, because that's what that would be. Ed Marshall asks this question, or rather makes the statement: with an oversight committee in place and the MOU agreement signed, the work will start with the Raiders funding the first $100 million until the agreement is signed to release the bonds. Okay, is that a question or a statement? I don't know what you're getting at. And so, Mr. Marshall. Anyway, let's see here. Now, Ed Marshall says the Raiders won't turn over the land until all the agreements are met for SB1 and LSVSA is satisfied. Marshall, that is not true. It's not the Raiders turn over the land when the development agreement is done. The purpose for turning over the land to the Stadium Authority is to begin the bond floating exercise so that the checks can be written that cover stadium construction. Okay, that's what that's all about. And that's a key tenet for any lease revenue bond financing. That's what you have to do. In this case, Clark County Stadium Authority is the bond issuer, and so therefore it is owning is the bonding organization for the Las Vegas Stadium Authority according to the new law, and therefore the Las Vegas Stadium Authority must own the stadium, that leasehold, in order for bond underwriters to want to go about the process of selling the bonds associated with the project. That's what's happening. Hey, go CSU Rams, how are you? Now, 831 Scott says, I heard them mention because the Raiders own the land, they haven't turned it over to the Stadium Authority. Well, you're right, which I've said before. The Raiders are responsible for moving the box drain. That's correct. The Raiders are responsible for paying for it, for moving for it, for dealing with all that delay. That's correct. And let's see here. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Now, we've got Richard. Hi, Richard, how are you? Richard says, which is smart. Should the deal fall through, they could sell the land and recoup about $75 million. Well, you think, okay? You have to remember something about that land. The only reason it was at the cost it was to begin with was because there was demand. It was known the Raiders were, snooping around for a site. The only reason land is being driven up is in anticipation of the Raiders building something. But if the Raiders have to, shuffle off back to Oakland, in a way, don't even think they're going to be able to sell that land for the same price that they bought it. The Raiders are poised to take a bath if that happens. Just saying. So it's not the sweet deal that you think. So we've got Barry Lee says, what was they referred to as 7-month time slot? I don't understand. Barry, I don't understand that one. And let's see here. Now, Ed Marshall says, but the money they spent is part of the money accounted for toward the initial $100 million needed to release the funds. They may also start using B of A funds that almost so much be spent. No, that's not true. First of all, oh God, this is so inaccurate. Okay, first of all, the financing for that would lead to the B of A loan just closed. The Bank of America loan is not going to be available until the guaranteed maximum price is released, and that won't happen until it is guessed late February of 2018. That's how that's set. Okay, just need to set you straight on that. What else? Steve Macy says, so all the things, hey Raider Flea, how are you? So all the things they have to get done, which is the one thing, which is the biggest problem for the Raiders, not counting financing. Well, the one thing that's biggest problem for the Raiders is just the amount of time it's taking to finish the drawings and to analyze the land and prep it. That's really what's taking a long time. And I have to believe that there is a problem. Also, you have to remember, we don't have a labor agreement yet. So the Raiders are doing all this. It's not just that they don't have the community benefits agreement done. They don't even have the labor agreement done. And the biggest hurdle is that the fact that not just the development agreement isn't done, but you now have 31 other documents that are basically, even though they're finished, they're not signed. Okay? And they've grown in number. They've grown in number. So we're at a place, so that's the problem is that this project is bigger than even the Stadium Authority minders realized it would be just by Stephen Hill's comments today. They're not equipped fully to do this project in the time frame that they originally believed it could be done in. And it's because all of the additional expenditures for land are those that don't at all need to be done, not have to be done, need to be done in Oakland. For example, there's no additional infrastructure cost. There's the $114 million, which is already parked by the city years ago, City of Oakland years ago. That's in place. We don't need to upgrade Nimitz Freeway. You and I both know it can handle Raider traffic. It's going to do so once again this weekend for the Jets game. There's BART. There's AC transit. We already have areas to accommodate Uber and taxis. Do you realize that by contrast, there is, according to the latest study that analyzed the Kidney Horn study, there's not enough space in the Raiders Stadium to accommodate taxis and Uber? It's right there in black and white. That wasn't brought up at the meeting, but it's right there. That file is right there. I talked about it like last night. Right there in the documents. It's not there. It's not enough space. Okay? So this thing is a crap show. It just plain is a crap show. Straight out. All right. So Barry Lee says, what's going to happen is the Raiders will eventually say, okay, we're staying in Oakland since we already paid for the Vegas blueprints. We'll just use it in Oakland. You know, I thought about that. That may be a possibility. I would think that's a logical possibility because they used it in Carson, right? Donis says, so they got most contracts signed. Am I right? You are wrong. No contracts have been signed. Completed, yes. Signed, no. They have not been signed. Okay? Right, as Barry Lee said, okay? Now, we've got, hey, Raider Flea, how you doing? Let's see here. I'm trying to, who else? Donut says, what a pathetic joke. Hey, Rick Gray, how are you doing? Welcome back. Bison for life. Haven't seen you in a while, man. Houston gave all the sports teams sweetheart deals. Totaled hundreds of millions. They barely gave $10 million for flood relief. The days of sweetheart deals from cities and states for stadiums are done. I know in the Texans case, it wasn't a sweetheart deal. It was a hotel tax deal that was far more conservatively structured than Las Vegas. Las Vegas, with its $750 million subsidy, is a sweetheart deal. Let's see here. And I don't get comparing the whole flood relief thing, because if you're talking about the city of Houston and Harris County, they're spending multi-millions more dollars on relief than you realize. Believe that. Believe that. And when you count the money they're leveraging for the federal government, it's into the billions. Okay, so where are you getting that idea? I don't know. Juan Ramirez says, is there any idea how Mark Davis took the move with the A's? Not by me yet. Rick Rice says, Amateur Hour. Bison for Life says, will there be local or state elections in Nevada in 2018? Yeah. Sisolak's running for governor. Senator Aaron Floyd is running for attorney general. Kristen Giuliani, I believe, is going to run for governor. I need to double check and see if she's officially announced. You've got Adam Laxalt, who's running for governor for the Republicans. Yeah, it's an election year. Now, as to how that will impact the Raider effort, I can't see it as of yet being held up as a negative with respect to Sisolak. But in fairness, I haven't talked to any political observers of the Nevada scene to get a handle on that, and I'll do that. So, hey Thomas, how you doing? And let's see here. Get Amtrak to get there. Steve Macy says, I just wanted to take a second look and thank you, Zitty, for answering all our questions. Well, hey, thank you very much for asking the questions. I'm much appreciated that you have done so. Now, you've got paper. Oh, that's what I'm looking for. Now remember, invest. It's another double shares night, folks. Now Barry Lee asks, how many candidates do y'all have in Oakland running for mayor? Right now, officially, one. And that's Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. Just one. Now, it's rumored that De La Fuente may run. Hey, by the way, welcome to all of you who've just joined Zenny62 live stream. We're talking recap of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority meeting today. So if you have any questions at all, please type them in the chat. If you want to make sure that I see them and they stand out all over others, you can buy a super chat. You buy a super chat, I will compensate you with shares in Zenny62 Media. And Donus says, why don't Mark count his losses on Vegas? Answer, ego. Oh my gosh, you guys are
You guys are all over Mr. Davis, but you'll love him when the Raiders win the Super Bowl, right? Oh, boy, because that could happen. The Raiders look pretty good against the Titans. They sure did. Hey, thanks. Lamont thinks I should run for Oakland mayor. Just let me get my own ship together here. I'm working on, you know, just the simple things in life right now, right? Las Vegas Stadium Authority. Let's see here. And cool. All right. Got that. All right. What I'm doing is I was recalibrating the watch page, and I'm going to send out another tweet to make sure that people are seeing this. And oh, I have the category set to people in blogs. It should be set to sports. That's my default category setting because I don't always talk about sports. So now it's sports. Save changes, and go back to being properly categorized and view it on watch page, and boom, there it is. Okay. There it is. Now, and share. I'm going to go to Twitter and put a house call in to Raider Nation. Raider, in caps, Raider Nation, then hashtag NFL. Boom. You see how I did that with a flourish. Boom. Boom! Like that. Yeah. That's it. Hey, Mr. Guerrero, how are you? No, Rick Rice, you the man. You the man. Thomas Beltman says, good job on North Korea. Hey, thanks. Boy, isn't that scary, though? I mean, I can't remember a time in my life, and I was born, obviously, Zinni 62. You can figure that one out, where I've been so concerned over the possibility of war, and I do mean nuclear war. That said, North Korea is not equipped to fight a full-blown nuclear war. They're equipped for a one shot, but the one shot's enough. And the question is, will they take it? At least they say that they're equipped for a one shot. We can bomb them many, many times over, but all it takes for them is one shot. Just one shot. Why do it? I don't know. If I were president of the United States, I would get on a plane, I'd take Dennis Rodman with me, I'd visit Kim Jong-un. I'd take protection, I'd take drones, I'd wear a bulletproof vest, I would wear a bionic limb, you know, that would be hidden away, an exoskeleton and a suit, right? So nobody could screw with me if they tried to, you know, kidnap me. I'd take as much protection as I could get into North Korea unseen. You know what I mean? Have a destroyer stationed right off the coast, ready to launch a cruise missile to come and get one cruise missile to come and get me, and then take me away, and the other cruise missile to bomb the crap out of them for trying to hurt me, right? And the cruise missile would have enough, would be a giant size one, be like an automatic plane, would have enough room for me and Dennis, you know. So there you go, and whoever else we were gonna bring, right? Nah, just me and Dennis. Keep everybody else safe. Keep the family away. So do I think we've seen the last of Janikowski? Oh, no. Barry Lee says, I did notice that North Korea has yet to test us directly by firing a missile over South Korea or any of our bases. Yeah, but Japan's enough. Heck, you know, I mean, someone wrote, so you're basically saying, Zinni, that it's okay for them to threaten us. We have to wait until we actually hit. And I thought, you know, that's a great point. I mean, why is it that it's okay for Japan to be screwed with? You ever been to Tokyo? I love Tokyo. Imagine being in Tokyo and having to deal with that. A lot of you are not old enough to remember bomb shelters. However, I am old enough to remember bomb shelters and drills when I was first born, through my young years. That was when the Soviet Union was a credible nuclear threat, not to say it isn't today. But I mean, the fog of war was around us, okay? The possibility of war was very much in the mind, nuclear war, of American public. I've never seen that day since then until now. That's not cool. So, 831 Scott says, my son is being deployed to South Korea. He's a Marine. I'm worried. Whoa! Oh my lord, I'm worried for your son. You know, prayers for your son. Okay. And Barry Lee says, I remember the Russian threat in the 80s and the ABC2 movie the day after. Yeah, I remember that too, but that was far different from the 60s because there was no movie. You know, it was just, all this stuff was new. You know? I mean, all this stuff was new. Okay? Now, as far as the Raiders, and getting back to the Raiders, hey, Joshua Agee, late to the party recap. Any on Raiders news? Yes, this is a recap. I'll give you the recap. Okay, the recap is this. First of all, the Raiders have closed on their financing with Bank of America, according to Mark Bedane. I'll put up the video with his comments later. And that's the first thing. The second thing is that the Raiders, the outline of the community benefits agreement, an outline has been released, but it is just an outline. It's in the outline stages. They expect to have the real deal written in a month based on that outline. There are 32 documents. Many of them are finished. None of them are signed except the lease. Okay? 32 documents. That's right. I said 32, up from 14. All right? Hey, Steve Macy. I'll see ya. That's right. And also, Rick Gray, there was no comment about the drainage issue other than that it was something to be done. Now, the other conversation was about the MOU and the fact that the Raiders are at risk and they're trying to start the construction themselves in order to, you know, put themselves in position to meet a very aggressive timetable that is becoming increasingly clear they're not going to be able to meet 2020. Okay? Barry Lee says, I have a recap summary and it follows Vegas' lost cause and Oakland will get to keep their team. I like that, Reese. I like that. Here, let me add to that summary, Barry Lee. How about by 2023, Oakland will have a new baseball stadium and a new football stadium. The A's down in Laney College, Raiders at the Coliseum. How's that for a scenario? I think that's pretty sweet. I like that one. I like that one. And so, does anyone have any other questions? And there are no anyone in the hot for I'm going to have a live stream in the morning, by the way, so I'm going to break this one in just a few minutes because I have to get up early for the JPA meeting tomorrow, which starts at 8:30. So be here at 8:30 in the morning, Zinni62, for my stream of the Joint Powers Authority meeting, okay? All right. So it's I know I'm stopping a little bit earlier than usual, but it's almost 10 and I want to eat and go to bed so I can wake up at 7 o'clock and get over there. I am exhausted, plus I am exhausted. All right. Does anyone else have any questions going out? 831 Scott asks, why is it going to take so long for the A's to build their new stadium? They have to have community. There's first of all, they haven't designed it. So you've got 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, that's 6 years. They haven't even designed it. They know what's going to look like for Howard Terminal. That was, one thing. But no one's designed it for this property out here. And you also have to really get the community buy-in, because what you need to get is a development permit and a development agreement. All the processes that the Raiders are going through in the Las Vegas parlance are true in the Oakland parlance. But they've got a big political hurdle they've got to jump with respect to the community groups down here, and a council member, Abel Guillen, who sounds like he's going to be a bit of a pill. We'll see how Abel works out. I think Abel was trying to sound like he really cared about those who couldn't speak great English, who lived in the area, who may feel that they're going to be railroaded. On another level entirely, I could say he was race baiting or immigrant baiting. That's kind of what it looked like to me. I hope I'm wrong, but that's what it looked like to me, because it didn't sound like Abel wanted to jump in with both feet and say, let's build this thing. I'm going to make it so that all my constituents will benefit from it and people will not be displaced. Okay? Because that can be done. That can be done. So, Donut says, hey, I have to make an announcement. Donut, save your announcement, because I'm going to bed very in a few seconds. 8:31 Scott says the Raiders are shooting for 2020 and the A's 2013. You'd think a baseball stadium would be able to construct it sooner. No, it's the community issue. And the Raiders are not going to make 2020. Okay, you can forget it. So, all right, you can forget it. That's just not happening. And so Raider Gann says we have a lot of military bases in Japan, so that they directly test us. Yes, they do. And all right, folks. Good night, everybody. Mr. Beltran, everybody, have a good night. See you tomorrow morning. Like I say, if you care to invest out the door, even $2 so I can get some coffee, because I'm going to need it in the morning. Oh, my gosh. Be much appreciated. Good night, everybody. Good night. And yes, where's Crawford to tell me and John Mark said you can bet your last money it's all going to be a stone gas honey? Where are they? Good night. I'll see you. All right. Good night. See ya.